Hello and welcome back to Bannerlord. Now we have been, doing quite a bit of stuff. We've actually been hunting down vassals, obviously. We've actually raided a couple of villages, and no doubt you can tell, because of what's on the screen right now, I have been baiting armies. We're currently in a battle right now, but this is footage I took earlier. And yeah, we also were able to execute numerous amounts of vassals. We actually executed, I believe, about 6 or so, and as you can see, we actually did get Panalia too. Anyway, this is the battle that we're currently in right now. We're actually up against a fellow with about 178, which is exactly the same amount of troops that I have, but one of my friends actually decided to join me here, which is quite nice of him. Anyway, we're going to tell my archers to get into a decent position here. Bear in mind that my army composition is dramatically favoring archers at this point. So what I have actually started doing, my tactics for the various battles that I've participated in have changed dramatically from my previous efforts. And basically, how I've been doing it is literally just having my cavalry follow me, and then literally just running people through. So going like this and running them down, trying to do some damage here. You can see that my archers, they're not actually in position yet, which is kind of sad, but yeah, anyway, they will be in position relatively soon, and as a result, they're gonna start murdering like no one's business. They really will. They will do a lot of damage, and hopefully I can get all of my units around here, and then we will be able to continue to do the hit and run attacks. That's the main thing that we're trying to do here. You can see at the top right, numbers of ranged units actually doing a fantastic job with the damage they're doing. And I'm just going to be trying to take out as many outlying units as I possibly can. Now, I have attempted, and I don't have footage of this, but I have attempted to create an army with my companions. So basically what I would do is get shot in the head, apparently. Oh, that was absolutely fantastic. This guy is a beast. He absolutely murdered me like no one's business. But anyway, the point is that, as I was saying, the difficulty with having a number of companions with their own parties and then calling them into your army, the difficulty with that is kind of, it's kind of harsh, really, on the one hand, because you really want to have additional people helping you out. You really do want people helping you in this kind of situation. I mean, we're up against it. We are literally up against an absolutely enormous enemy, basically a monstrous opponent, and we need all the help we can get. However, on the other hand, when I had my companion in my army, my food situation went to pot. It literally just went down into the dumps like no one's business, and it was literally just a very, very harsh realization, I suppose you could say, because I really didn't want to run out of food, because I don't know whether you've noticed, but the nearby town that Vlandia has, the only town that Vlandia has, that we are attempting to defend as much as possible, that has no food. That literally has no food. Every single time I go into the marketplace, I'm greeted by a completely bare selection of goods. There's nothing there. Nothing there whatsoever. So the only thing that I can do is raid villages. And so what I did was I disbanded my army, because obviously we were paying, we were not paying, but we were supplying food to my other members of the army. So in other words, my companion's forces had no food because my companion was unable to buy any at the nearby town, and that's the problem. So if I were to then add an additional companion into that, then the starvation rate of our army would just grow exponentially. And it's the same thing with, as you saw earlier, the footage that I took of that army that started off with, I think, 900 units or something, and then gradually reduced up until the time that they literally only had 400, and then they split up, and that was it. And then I was able to prey upon the the ones that actually split off from the main army. But there you go, we actually ended up only losing 32 units, which is actually not even that bad. We did lose 8 sharpshooters, however, which is obviously it's a big shame, but this is a pretty big vassal and a pretty big victory for us as well. So I'm actually just going to show you what's going on here as well. And if you didn't know, they have capped the amount of money that you can get from sieges and battles and stuff like that in the latest update. And I got to say, not a terribly big fan of that. Not a terribly big fan of it. Not because I want to make a huge amount of money. I mean, obviously everyone wants to make a huge amount of money in the game. They do, right? You know, everyone wants to have enough to be able to do what they want to do. But the problem is, I feel like if you are up against it, and I'm talking about massive amounts of troops, let's say you're up against 1,000 troops, and you successfully defend against an overwhelming opponent like that, and you're only going to get 10,000 dinars for that? I feel like that's not worth it, you know? I feel like that's not worth it. So, yeah, anyway, someone actually did mention, very, very helpfully, that the herd deficit that I was actually seeing right here is also partially not due to my horses. It's actually also due to the amount of livestock that I have in my army. I am a bit of an imbecile, so I did not realize that you could actually slaughter animals and get their meat. So I have actually been doing that a little bit to try and free ourselves up from the overwhelming amounts of weight that they actually carry, because as you can see here, cows are 200, actually 200, just an insane amount. So there you go, we're just going to get rid of all those, and now you can see, or we should be able to see, that it is going to be a much easier thing for us to move around and everything like that. So hopefully that will work out for us, and otherwise we're just going to head back to the town. But that is pretty cool. We eliminated that guy. And we do get to this. Wasn't this the guy that was leading the army earlier? I think it was. So we're just going to execute him. I don't know whether you saw a bunch of the in the other clips. We actually did eliminate more clans. We've been doing quite well in eliminating clans, and a number of them have been completely destroyed. And as far as I'm aware, I think I did take a brief look at the encyclopedia. And it doesn't seem as though they are replacing them, because as you can see, this is the same one at the very end here. And there's the same amount of rows and columns and so on. So I think we might very well have a very good opportunity to eliminate all of them. As you can see, there's one guy left in there. There's only 2 left in here. We actually got quite a few of those. And then obviously we have Nerezes itself, and then we obviously are continuing to go on here. So, there's actually 2 babies there as well, as you can see. Obviously, we're not going to be murdering those, or at least I hope I don't have to, but we'll see. Anyway, bunch of others. Regeas, obviously. Regea is right there. You can see. Look at that. So, that's the point. There are still quite a few vassals available for us to murder, and the clans are... these have been completely untouched. That is not particularly good. But the thing is that we're chipping away, you know? We're chipping away at them, and that is basically all I can do. But there we go. Panalia was the leader of this one, and we literally have destroyed them. So I personally do not believe that a destroyed clan can come back and do anything. I think that they are literally just done. And there's another one right here that has been destroyed as well. There's actually quite a few that have been destroyed, but unfortunately, it's just a case of tracking them down. There we go. There's another one that's been destroyed. And these 2 are both fine. This guy literally... Look at this. There are some clans that literally only have 1 member. And it's kind of hilarious. These guys are... Wow. These guys are untouched. And these are the Sturgian defectors. So that's definitely something to think about. These guys, we destroyed those earlier on. We destroyed these as well. And there's Tovir and a bunch of others. But yeah, you can see that we've actually done I would say quite a decent job of eliminating the enemies. So you can see here that they have now 26,000. Obviously, they're going to be still quite powerful, but I will very much hope that we will be able to prevail in the end. Wow, this is actually a fantastic place to be stationed here. Just look at our crossbowmen just absolutely tearing apart this minor faction army at the moment. This minor faction is currently aggressive towards us, at war against Vlandia, or maybe just me. I'm actually unsure about that, but whatever the case, we're going to try and take them prisoner, kill them, and whatever else we need to do, execute, and so on. And yeah, that is going to be a pretty easy thing for us to do if my horses will not all die. Oh, that's actually kind of hilarious for them to literally be launching themselves off the bridge a little bit here. Kind of funny. And yeah, well, pretty easy victory for us. I just wanted to show you the wonderful, wonderful line of crossbowmen firing at all of the enemies coming across the bridge, and I half expected them not to do that because they're all ranged. Every single one of these units that we're fighting here is some kind of ranged unit, so I expected them to just wait on the other side of the bridge, but they decided no, we're just going to charge. Oh, there we go. The Brotherhood of the Woods has been eliminated. Obviously, these guys have actually been kind of a thorn in our side down in this area for quite some time. Now, here's the thing. I just pulled off a pretty cool maneuver, and I wasn't really sure whether it would work, but it actually did. I spoke to Derthart, who is, of course, our liege. He's the leader of the Vlandians, and he was the one to actually take the guy prisoner. And I thought to myself, oh no, I wanted to get into the fight with him so that I would be able to execute him myself and potentially take him prisoner myself as well. And I got there too late. So I decided, okay, maybe I can do something. You know, maybe I can speak to Derthart and I can maybe see, hey, can you give me this prisoner? And he said yes. He said, okay then. He said, okay. And he gave me the guy. And I executed him just now, as you saw. And that was it. That was indeed a wonderful execution for us right there. There's Caladog running around with 14. How far we have fallen, eh, Caladog? All right, well, let me actually just take a quick look here. Because I'm thinking I might attack this. 204. Yeah, I mean, the main reason why I want to take this is because I would like to be able to expand a little bit. And, you know, maybe we'll get a couple of people to come out of the woodwork or something like that. So I'm just going to build a whole bunch of onagers as well. And hopefully that will help us. Well, there is an army following me right now. Did you see that? 682 of them. But this guy is the fella that I wanted to attack. Did he just say that he's the rightful emperor of the Aserai? Really? I'm actually kind of surprised about that. Let me actually just take a look at this guy for a second. Alright. Yeah, he's got a bunch of friends and everything, and well, he's been taken prisoner a whole bunch of times by all kinds of different people. But yeah, nothing really for us to worry about too much. But yeah, anyway, we're going to be attacking him. Hopefully be able to take him prisoner. And yeah, I actually did manage to build an onager, and that was just basically enough time for us to be able to do that. And then we were starting to have vassals turn up, and I didn't really want to be in a situation where we had their standby units relatively close by to us so that they would then be able to go in together and do massive damage. So I decided I'm going to just go and try and pursue this one guy, try and eliminate him, and then he started to run into the 650 or so guy, and that was just, yeah, a bit too risky. So I just ran by them and I started to hunt him down a little bit. So yeah, that's what I wanted to do. And maybe I can just eliminate this guy. There we go. Oh, that's him. That's actually him. Hilarious. Hilarious. Did not expect him to literally just end up dying against me right there. That is kind of funny. But yeah, this is my strategy, by the way, on a very small scale, because obviously we do outnumber the opponent by a pretty considerable margin. But basically, this strategy has been very good for me so far, and has actually put paid to the circular defense quite often, because I'm able to run through these guys relatively easily. I'm obviously not getting that many kills right now, but just ignore that. Anyway, the point is that if I can, then basically this is the best way of doing things. At least that's what I found, because there was one time where I was on this kind of like an open field, and I was up against, I think 180 or so, because I obviously have 180, and it was pretty even, you know, it was pretty even, the two armies. And I thought to myself, okay, how am I going to do this, you know? How am I going to do this? So I just put some archers on a little bit of an elevation. I didn't have a huge elevation to work with. Then I just put my infantry in front. Yeah, pretty standard, right? Yeah, pretty standard. But then I started to just leave my cavalry in the follow position. Just leave them with that order on and just run through the enemy's units every single time they would break formation. And that's the point. Just run through them, straight up. Just run through them. Most of my guys are going to be able to attack on the way through, so they're going to deal damage in that time. And they are also going to prevent any retaliations as well, which is a big deal. Being able to sustain a very, very large cavalry-focused army is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Very, very nice indeed for us. And that's exactly what I've been attempting to do with that strategy, because it's kind of incorporating two different ways of doing things, because I'm using every single thing that I can, and it seems like this is obvious, you know. It seems like, oh well, of course, you know, well of course you're going to use all the various elements together. But personally, I feel like charging in cavalry is not the way to go. Some of the time charging in is perfect, but other times not so much. And anyway, we're going to be executing this guy. And boom. There we go. All right. So, yeah, anyway, that is that. And hopefully we will be able to do all that. Okay. Oh, yes. I need to just say that someone asked on a recent episode, why am I not taking all of the loot? Why am I not taking all of the loot? Well, the reason why I'm not taking the loot is because I don't want to slow myself down in any way at all. I literally just want to make sure that I take the bare minimum. I want to take a couple of war horses for the various upgrades that we want to be able to do, and that's pretty much it. So I would like to have a number of Imperial Chargers, step horses, and so on for the lower tier cavalry to advance into, and that's it. I don't need money. I have 1.3 million, so even if I were to lose 1,000 per day, which is exactly what is happening, I'm losing basically almost 1,000 per day. Even if that happens, I'm also gaining a massive amount of cash just literally by fighting these enemy vassals. I'm well, not a massive amount, but generally beforehand, before the patch that changed the amount of reward that you would gain from a various amount of different fights, you would be getting about 60 to 80,000 for an even battle. And yeah, that might be a little bit too much, but I feel like 10k that we're getting now is a little bit too low. But as you can no doubt tell, if you were to win a battle with an even battle, you know, an even army, that is, then you're literally going to be in a situation where you earn 10k. And if you're in a position like me where 1,000 is being taken from you every single day, then you have 10 days of wages. Literally 10 days of wages. Obviously, you're discounting, or I'm discounting at this point, the amount of money that it takes to upgrade your units. But the point is that I don't really need money, and I don't want to be slowed down. That is the biggest issue there. So yeah, that's my explanation regarding the whole not taking loot thing, you know, because we don't need money anymore. And we want to try and stay as fast as possible on the world map. So let me actually just take a look at my kingdom here real quick, because I would like to be able to create an army. Oh, it seems like I can... hello. I might be able to get this guy, but that's it. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. I would love to be able to have more than just the one guy, and that's the reason why I'm kind of running a little bit of interference with the opponent as well now, because as you can see, a number of my forces, well, not my forces, but a number of my fellow vassals are actually doing a very good job. And oh yeah, a couple of people have said, why am I not creating my own faction now? Or why am I not taking over Vlandia, or, you know, something like that? As far as I'm aware, and don't quote me on this because I could be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, I don't think you can create your own faction if you have given the dragon banner to another faction. So obviously I've already given the dragon banner to the Sturgian Liege, you know, Ragnvad. Remember that time when I gave him the dragon banner and then we started getting the conspiracy quest and stuff? Yeah, that's not particularly good. That's not particularly good. So yeah, that kind of put the nail in the coffin in regards to me creating my own faction, which I gotta say is kind of sad because I think it would have been pretty fun to do so, but you know, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. So we're gonna besiege this castle now, and maybe we'll be able to bait the other army into coming to see us. Ah, my old friend Toby. Yes, he is going to be having a fun time. Right? Wait a minute. Did I just fail this conspiracy quest right now? Ah, there we go. I actually have no quests remaining, so that's basically it. You couldn't complete the quest in 10 years. War progress with the Northern Empire. I feel like we've not even done that badly in regards to the Northern and the Southern Empire. Wait, not the Southern Empire, the Western Empire, because obviously the Southern is the most powerful. The Northern and the Western are basically eliminated, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that. But anyway, Toby is here, as you can see, and we're going to be attempting to eliminate him. Now, I have baited the army. The very large army, it has like 900 units or something like that. I have baited them all the way over to our town, and I'm very much hoping that they will attack it. Even if I have to sneak in some way, even if I have to, you know, do a little bit of sacrificing, I personally feel like it would be the best idea. Because if we can do that, then we're going to be in the siege itself, and they're basically going to be killed. Like, if they decide to do that, they will lose. It is just a that's just how it's gonna go, you know. That's just how it's gonna go. There's nothing they can do really about it, unless they bring massive army, and I'm talking maybe 1,400 units, maybe something like that. Then they might very well have a chance. But as it stands right now, I highly doubt that they will be able to take our town. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Unfortunately, missed that guy. But yeah. Otherwise, my forces will hopefully get into a position where they can actually start shooting them. Where are my archers? Seems like the rest of our opponent, well, the rest of our allies actually do want to head in here. A bit foolish, maybe. Yeah, maybe they just want to get in there because, let's face it, they've been the subject of ridicule for long enough, haven't they? I mean, the Southern Empire have no doubt been hurling all kinds of insults at them because literally we have been hobbling along like no one's business in this game with Vlandia, and that's the point. We've got to prove to the Southern Empire that we are stronger than they give us credit for. Although that might not be too good because they're currently underestimating us by a dramatic fashion, and it's just not good for them at all. It's really not good for them to do that because they are literally just going to get massacred in many different ways. So there you go. We were able to help Sylvind, of course, and did I not get the opportunity to take him prisoner? I know that some people have said that lords sometimes die in the battle itself, but I'm not sure if I've seen confirmation of that. So I might have to have a look at Tovia, or I might have to have a look at some of the people here, because they might have taken him prisoner, and in which case I don't really want them to do that. Sylvind is probably going to be the one that has taken him prisoner, so if I could find her, then that... Ah, there we go. There's Tovia, see? There we go. No, wait. Nope. Okay, no. I've lost him again. Great. No. Sylvind is over there. I assume she's got him? No, she doesn't. Tovia was there, 0%. I could see him. Oh, now this is interesting. I don't know where he's gone. Okay, that's kind of bad. Ooh, look at this. Heckard actually has 95 in his army. Ooh, that might be pretty fun. Alright, I might actually decide to join his army, but bear in mind that if we do end up joining his army, it's going to be another one of those situations where I have to basically supply all of our allies' forces, and that's never really a good idea at the best of times, especially considering my current food situation is not exactly great. It's okay. I've got about 200 or so, and I could get more. I could get more by, you know, raiding a couple of villages. That's, as I said, what I did before when I had some depleted stocks, because there are actually some villages nearby that supply olives and some other things. So it's generally a good idea to go there and do that. But anyway, I'm actually finding that the loose formation for our archers is actually really good, because what it does is it spreads them out a little bit and makes it easier for them to see the opponent. Now, this is the kind of situation where I would say that having a follow command for your cavalry is basically really good, because as you can see, our allies' forces, which are primarily made up of recruits, of course, are going to be running around. They're going to try and do damage and everything, but they're going to not really be that effective, as you can quite clearly see. They're literally taking so much damage right now. So what I can do is take a huge amount of damage myself, apparently. Oh, he's trying to hit me with his fists? Are you serious right now? Let me get out my shield real quick. I'm going to be a bit careful here. And now we'll tell my forces to charge in, because I'm actually off my mount, and them following me is pointless. So let's see if I can just slice up a mercenary guard. Thank you very much. There we go. Take that. Take that, sir. Thank you. But yeah, let's tell my archers to charge in now, and they will get into effective range. That's also something that I should definitely mention to you. I don't know whether I've mentioned this before. I think I probably have, but I just wanted to mention it again just so you know exactly what's going on with these tactics that I'm using. So basically, whenever you charge archers, what they will tend to do is, if you have a look over here, I don't think they're actually doing what I'm telling them to do now, because they are going to have auto delegation switched on automatically. But the point is that generally what ranged units will do is, if you charge them, this is a common misconception as well, by the way. Sometimes this happens, but most of the time they will not run into melee. So basically what will happen is they will move closer to the opponent, and then when they are within range of any opponent that they can see, they will stop, they will reload if they need to, and then they will fire their ranged weapon. And then while they're reloading, or in the middle of, you know, the kind of situation, the order, they'll move a little bit forward just to make sure that they're in, effective range. And then they will do their thing again, where they'll reload, and then they will, shoot again and again and again and again. And they won't just run in melee. That is a common misconception, that literally if you charge your archers in, it will tell them to run into melee. And yeah, sure, eventually it will tell them to run into melee, but from such a far distance away, and we're talking about, massive amounts of distance here, I mean, how far can a crossbow shoot? Very far away, right? So generally, that's the kind of thing that I just wanted to clear up, because I was seeing a bunch of comments that are just saying, don't charge your archers in. And yeah, absolutely. I would definitely recommend do not charge your archers in usually. But if they're far away and you don't have time to do any kind of ordering around, so like if you're in the middle of a bunch of enemies and you really don't have any time whatsoever, then charging them in is not going to be that harmful, in my opinion. That's what I have found in both Warband and in Bannerlord so far. And it's actually a little bit better in Bannerlord, because the AI is just much better and easier to handle those kinds of situations. Unfortunately, Hekar did lose a lot of units in that particular fight, so I'm not entirely sure if I really want to join his army, because he's probably not going to end up doing that much. Because as I said before, I did join an army beforehand and didn't really go too well. As you can see though, a lot of our vassals are actually running around with more than the bare minimum. Most of them are running around with 30 to 45 units, and I think that is really, really good. That's a great sign to see. And any spare units, by the way, that I've gotten from these fights, I have placed into the garrison. I know that someone actually said to me that I should do that, and so I thought, okay, well, sure, why not? I'll do that. And that's what I've been doing as well. So hopefully with the new patch, I think that some of the patch stuff is working for me, but I'm not sure if all of it is, because a number of people have also reported to me that it is not necessarily working. Some of the patch things are not necessarily working, even though it does say that I am on that version. But it could just be that you need to start a new game and it's not save game compatible. So there's also that to take into account. One thing's for sure though, the 10,000 cap, that's certainly working. Yes, and you know what's also quite funny? You know how I'm using this weapon, the War Razor? Apparently, according to someone in the comments, the weapon has been removed from the game in future patches, or in this patch, because I'm actually unsure. I think I read all of it, but maybe there was some other changelog with more extensive information within it. But apparently the developers have removed the glaive type the glaive type weapons from the game, and I'm just like, why do you want to spoil my fun? I don't know. Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe people thought they were too powerful or something like that. I personally feel like it's I don't know. I feel like it's just fine. Like, I'm not doing extreme amounts of damage with it. Like, yeah, I'm able to kill people in basically one hit, but usually you would think that that would be the case with most weaponry around this time, you know, because I'm mostly killing lightly armored units and I'm charging at a very, very fast speed. So you would expect those kinds of things to happen. You know, you'd expect people to take you down in 1 or 2 hits. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe just maybe a bunch of people were just complaining about it or something like that, because it is quite powerful. But I would say that it really isn't in the grand scheme of things. You know, it's not like it's not like you're including a minigun or something in the game, and then the minigun is just going and massacring like 500 units in under 10 seconds. You know, it's not that kind of weapon. But anyway, I'm going to head into Hongard Castle again, and we'll see if we can bait out another opponent. Well, here we go. What do we have here? We have another fellow, and you saw there that I was just called to Ingaltha's army, and it's actually hilarious how it just automatically says to me, oh, go over that way, you know, and I was just charging at this guy thinking I'm going to engage him, and then it was just like, no, 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 you have to go over to the army. No, I really don't want to. Thank you. Alright, so this is actually an Aserai defector as far as I'm aware, so he might be... I don't know. He might be kind of tricky, but I gotta say the environments are always so incredibly nice to look at. They really are, aren't they? They're really great. I feel like they've done a very, very good job with the environments. Not so much with removing my favorite weapon, but you know, if that happens, then that happens, and I've just got to adapt to the situation and see what other kind of weapon I might be able to use. But it does make mounted combat basically accessible. It makes it accessible to those of us that are not exactly great at it, you know, so it's kind of a shame if they have removed it, but, well, as you can see, I guess it is quite easy to use, but I guess, you know, if you're more skilled than the average player, like me, then you don't have to use it, you know, you can decide not to use it, as I was talking about in a mod for Warband by the name of Banner Page. There are some powerful weapons in that mod, but the point is that in a sandbox role-playing game like Warband, and indeed like Bannerlord as well, you don't necessarily need to use them if you don't want to, you know? If there's a super powerful weapon like the Death Star that you can purchase for 1 dinar, then you don't necessarily need to do that. You could literally just be like, no, I'm perfectly fine not using it. That's if you want to, of course. If you don't want to, then that's also fine, you know? The whole point, in my opinion, of sandbox games is literally player choice. I feel like player choice is a big deal in these kinds of games. And I've spoken about this at length beforehand, so I won't rant on about it any further, but the point is that I wouldn't understand why they would remove the weapon if you just don't have to use it, you know what I mean? But I guess maybe they want to retune it or something like that, because it is quite strong with the amount of damage that it's capable of dealing, but it is very unusable in close quarter situations. It is very slow. The handling of it is kind of harsh. You know, it's got a lot of downsides. You know, you can't use a shield with it, for example. You can't use a shield with it, so it is going to be one of those situations where you kind of have to decide between survivability and actually being able to do massive amounts of damage on a horse. And as you can see here, though, I'm getting massacred right now. And maybe I can do some damage here. Yes, take him out. There we are. Take him out as well, if at all possible. Yes. Ah. Oh, well, never mind, never mind. That's absolutely fine, because here's the thing. As long as we have the advantage, I really don't mind about dying. And it's a lot of fun. I know that a couple of people have said that I should not use the two-handed axe. I can't help it. I can't help it. It's the executioner's axe. We are basically the executioner. I mean, Barney is, you know, he's running around executing everyone. He should use a weapon that, you know, represents how monstrous he is, and especially considering the fact that he just died against some random unit. So, yeah, but that's the kind of thing that I think he represents with that. I'm hopeful that they will be able to actually kill these enemies on the bridge. It seems like the cavalry is having some problems with dealing with them. And let's actually follow around someone, shall we? Because who is this? Is this one of my companions? I'm actually unsure about that. I can't really tell who it is, but whoever it is, we're going to be spectating, and we will see exactly what they decide to do. So they are using a they are using a one-handed sword on horseback, and well, it doesn't seem to be going too well for them so far. But I guess that's not really too big a deal, because we are going to be achieving victory. Oh yeah, I also really like the way that the music reacts to what is currently going on in the battle. So when you're just about to win, it starts to ramp up the fanfare. I don't know whether you've heard that in the background at any point during some of my episodes, but when you're just about to win, it goes, you know, it brings in the trumpets, it brings in the, you know, all the cool fanfare, and then when you actually have the ability to, you know, claim victory itself, then it gives you much more of a fanfare, and I think that's really nice. That is actually a very cool effect that I appreciate, no doubt. Anyway, let me see. Is there anything else here that I want to take? I'm looking for Vlandians. Mostly. No. Okay. I'm not going to be taking anything else because they're going to slow me down, and it is just not going to be a good idea. Not going to be a good idea at all. So let's take some grain and some olives and everything. And that will be that. There we go. All right. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to head back to the town, and I'm going to try and rest up, get some more forces if I can, and then we will attempt to assassinate even more. I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.